In the winter of 1779, on a remote beach in the Pacific Ocean, the British explorer Captain James Cook is killed in a sudden skirmish. For centuries, the story ended there. British ship logs and historians framed this moment as a random, unprovoked tragedy at the hands of unpredictable locals. But that version of the story only looks through one lens. It ignores the indigenous Hawaiian perspective, obscuring the actual motives behind the conflict. The Hawaiian retelling reveals a calculated defense of their sovereign, an act of statecraft that protected the king from a foreign abduction attempt. The setting is Kealakekua Bay. Cook's ships first anchored here during the Makahiki season, a sacred time honoring Lono, the god of agriculture and peace. Because of this timing, the locals initially treated Cook with the reverence owed to a deity. Over the following weeks, the foreigners overstayed their welcome. They drained local resources and broke sacred laws, known as kapu. Finally, Cook attempted to march the aging King Kalaniʻopu onto his ship as a hostage. The crowd on the beach pushed back. In the chaos, Cook slipped on the wet shoreline and scraped his bare hand against the sharp coral. He bled, and in that instant, the crowd saw him bleed. The illusion of his divinity vanished. Watching this unfold was Kanaina, a high-ranking Ali warrior sworn to protect the king. Seeing the foreigner was mortal flesh and blood, Kanaina stepped forward and brought down his Kawila club. That blow exposed the god myth. The foreigners were now seen as fallible men, and the kingdom's survival depended on dealing with them as such. Cook was dead, but the era of Hawaiian isolation had ended. This chart plots the immediate aftermath. Over the next few decades, foreign ship arrivals spiked, bringing a flood of iron weapons. But overlaid on that same timeline is a plunging line representing the native Hawaiian population, devastated by imported diseases. As the death toll rose and iron flooded the local economy, the ancient kapu system that had governed Hawaiian society for centuries began to crack. Foreign trade routes bypassed traditional power structures. For Kanaina and his people, the reality was stark. They could no longer rely on isolation. They had to adapt to the mechanics of this iron tide, or they would be swept away by it. Kanaina chose to adapt. He began teaching his sons how to master both the ancient chants and wooden clubs, right alongside the new iron daggers and muskets. When the old king died shortly after Cook's death, internal civil war fractured the islands. This division made Hawaii vulnerable to the European colonial powers now circling the Pacific. Seeing this vulnerability, Kanaina made a strategic choice. He allied his forces with a rising chief named Kamehameha, understanding that only unified strength could withstand the coming pressure. Together, Kamehameha's forces integrated Western gunpowder and cannons directly into their traditional warfare tactics. Through a series of intense campaigns, they conquered and unified the islands under a single ruler. This campaign was a calculated evolution of statecraft. By binding the islands into a single Hawaiian kingdom, Kamehameha and Kanaina built an indigenous fortress against foreign colonization. That unification required one final conflict in 1795, the historic Battle of Nuuanu which was fiercely fought along these sheer, green cliffs on the island of Oahu. Deep in the chaos of the fighting, an enemy musket was aimed directly at Kamehameha. Nearing 60 years old, Kanaina surged forward and intercepted the lead ball with his own chest. He sacrificed his life to ensure his king survived. The weapons had changed from wooden clubs to iron muskets, but the indigenous value of pono, the righteous responsibility to protect the land, stayed intact. In the decades that followed, the pressure to assimilate intensified. The Hawaiian kingdom was eventually overthrown by foreign commercial interests, its sovereignty stolen, and its native population reduced to a fraction of what it once was. But the name Kanaina translates to the one who stands firm, and his descendants were fused to be extinguished. Today, there is a modern resurgence of the Kanaka Maoli. Ancient lands are being reclaimed, language immersion schools are full, and traditional arts are thriving once again. Historical resilience isn't about stopping the tide from coming in. It's about planting your feet, adapting to the water, and ensuring your culture is still standing to write its own history